Hi, you feather merchants. This is a true story that I'm going to tell you about, and it happened in the 60s. And I got out of the Marine Corps in '64, and a month later, I found myself as an iron worker. And anyway, while I was an iron worker, there was a health club that I used to work out at in Lansing, Illinois. It was the Acres Health Club, and it was run by a professional wrestler, Frank Zila. And he had most of the professional wrestlers that worked out of Chicago or that wrestled out of Chicago worked out there. Anyway, when I was working out in that health club, I ran into a former Marine, and very interesting guy, and probably the most skilled street fighter that I have ever known. And I knew a lot of them because some of the places I used to hang out when I was younger. Um, anyway, this guy, his name was John Koch, and he was older than me, not by I don't know, like maybe 7 years older than me, and he had done 2 tours in the Marine Corps. He came out of New York City, and he had fought as a semi-professional boxer before he went in the Marine Corps. And while he was in the Marine Corps, he was a recon Marine, and he was a drill instructor in Paris Island, and he was also a hand-to-hand combat instructor. And any Marine that was a hand-to-hand combat instructor, these guys really are good fighters. And he had, besides his boxing skills, he had studied karate, judo, and aikido while he was over in Japan, and he got very proficient in all of them. And anyway, he was a very proficient fighter, and always stayed in really good shape. Um, anyway, and to give you a little background about this guy, when I met him, he was an insurance man. He was selling insurance, and he used to go and sell insurance in Chicago at Caprini Greens Apartments, and that was a building that doesn't exist anymore. They tore it down, but back in the day, the police wouldn't even go there. If they did, they went in numbers because it was gang infested, very dangerous, and he would go there to beat people up. And what he would do is he'd always dress nice, have a sport coat or a suit, and he'd tape a lead pipe on the inside of both arms. Always wore a cup, wore leather soled shoes where he could move quickly, and he would go there and try to sell insurance. But in the meantime, of course, these kids, they'd think, oh, he's a real target, and he'd fuck them up. And another thing he would do, he belonged to this organization. I'm not going to say the name of it, but it's when Vietnam broke out, he tried to go back in the Marine Corps, and they wouldn't let him go back in because he had been a member of this particular organization. But anyway, one of the things that they would do for amusement is they would ride the it's an elevated train in Chicago, and the last place I lived in Chicago is an apartment on the third floor, and the elevated train ran at the same level as our apartment, just across the alley from us. But anyway, it was gang members would ride the train and rob people, and he and his few of his friends from this particular organization, they would suit up, and one would pretend like he was drunk and uh, wear an expensive watch, ring, and look like a target, while his buddies were in different seats in the same car. And they, of course, they were prepared for this too. And as soon as the guy got jumped by the guys that were going to rob him, they would all pile in, and they'd hurt him. Anyway, while we're working out at this health club, like I said, there was that's where all the professional wrestlers, or most of them out of Chicago, worked out at. And one in particular, Jimmy, and I'm not going to, I don't remember for sure his last name, um, but he was really, he was an up and coming professional wrestler, very strong, big. He was at least he had to be at least 6'1", maybe 6'2", and strong, really, really strong. Anyway, my buddy, he worked out there, the former Marine, and his name was John Koch. And uh, John was, I don't know, I guess he attracted Jimmy's attention, and Jimmy made the mistake of asking him. He says, "Hey, John, why don't you show me some of those moves that you have that you learned in martial arts?" And they had a room in this health club where the wrestlers would work out. They had mats in there, and they'd practice their moves and that. And John took him in there, and he knocked him out. And he did this in front of several wrestlers because they figured Jimmy is going to turn him into a pretzel, you know. But John, I don't remember what he used. I'm guessing he probably hit him on the side of the neck, right below the ear, which would easily knock someone out, especially with John's skill level. Anyway, he laid him out flat and woke him up, and asked him if he wanted to show him any more moves. And Jimmy said he didn't want to see any more moves, and he didn't. He just wanted to get out of there. And John asked the other wrestlers that witnessed this if they wanted to see any moves, and nobody really raised their hands, so he let them go. And I didn't witness this. I have friends that did. Um, but what I did see with my own eyes is after one day, right after this had happened, after I got done working on them in the shower, and all these wrestlers are in there. These guys were bruisers, right? And Jimmy, who fought under the name Handsome Jimmy Valiant, he was in the shower, and Koch walked in there and pinched him on the butt in front of all his wrestler friends and said, "How you doing, Jimmy?" And Jimmy said, "Oh, okay, John." And he couldn't get out of that shower fast enough because he was afraid that Koch was going to hit him again. Um, but anyway, it's that guy was by far one of the toughest street fighters I had ever met. Um, Interesting. And then Handsome Jimmy, he went on to become a well-known wrestler. I saw him on TV a lot, and even after he retired, he ended up someplace down south, and he had his own wrestling school. And I'm fairly certain he's passed away by now, as well as John Koch did. And anyway, that's a short story I thought I'd share with you, feather merchants. And thanks for stopping by. And I'll see you on the next video. All right.